everybody, me again. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about, you know, tire monitoring systems and how they're made and why and all like that. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll start with this PowerPoint presentation like we always do. And what we're going to do, yeah, I'll definitely have to get it started here. And all right, so on the tire monitoring system, they're there for, to make sure the tires have air in them, of course, but because of the drag on the tire, that's what causes mileage to go down, and also it causes the emissions in the vehicle go up. So these are the tailpipe emissions that we're talking about. And it's actually one of the things that they don't say enough, I don't think, is about the safety aspect too. If the tire has enough air in it, it will put out a good footprint. And that means all parts of the tire will contact the road and make sure that we're in a pretty safe manner. And that does play a part also on your driving habits and also on the road that you're driving on. Of course, if you're going to be in gravel roads, it's going to have a little more slip to it versus a asphalt one that doesn't slip as much. But you also have the weather that you have to think about too. And luckily we don't have the snow and the ice like they do back east, or else we'd be talking a whole different metrics on things like that. So yeah, of course we talked about on the last presentation about air pressure and how it is on this door sticker or this right by the placard, right by the door on the driver's side, and shows you how much air and what front and back. And there again, you could have a difference between the front and the rear. Just keep that in mind too. So, and inflation of the tire, of course, it changes as you drive because air, okay, expands as it's heated up, and you can actually have an increase, 2 to 4 pounds per square inch. And if you have a tire monitoring system on your car, you can actually flip on the tire monitoring, start off when you're cold and drive down the street, and then look down. Don't be monitoring it all the time, but when you get into a stop, look at and you can actually see the air kind of pressure go up. So that tells you. Now, nitrogen filled tires are a little bit different. We don't have that expansion rate. Nitrogen are pretty stable, is what I'm trying to say. But how do I know if I have nitrogen in my tires? Well, either you're the one putting it or your mechanic's doing it, or you can actually, one of the things that identifies it is the green cap on the actual service valve. They actually valve that. A lot of times they put a green cap on it instead of the black cap that you would normally have on it, like that too. Properly, inflated tires give you a nice pitch to it. Also, one of the things that are underinflated, well, that like I said, they do that drag number on them. So that really, again, it's going to drop your gas mileage and also increase the emissions. Anytime you see dropping gas mileage, you're going to see an actual, increase in the exhaust tailpipe emissions, stuff like that too. So it kind of shows you right there in how the footprint would be. And basically, if you're underinflated, that inside of the tire is kind of lifting up a little bit, and you may, I should put it differently here. As the air pressure drops, you're going to get a really uneven footprint on it. Whereas if you were inflating too much, and that's the other part too, too much inflation, that center section is going to push out, and then you're only going to have like the center part of the tire. So you really want to have the correct amount of air in your tires to make sure you get that nice footprint going. So, and of course, there's different types of systems to how they do the actual wheel speed. I should say the air monitoring system. A lot of times they use the speed sensors on the wheels, and they can actually monitor how fast each tire is rotating. And as it goes, if one's faster than another, they're going to say, okay, we must have a drag on the one tire. That's more than likely going to be a low tire. And that's a good way of doing it. Some have actually sensors inside the tire that actually monitor the actual tire as it spins around, and this is how they can actually tell if the system is actually losing air pressure. And this is just showing, kind of getting more into your class when you start getting into, tires and wheels and your suspension and steering. But here it shows you this is a speed sensor of the wheel. It reports into this actual electronic brake module. So in other words, another computer in your car. And then it's going to actually report back into the body control module, which we're just going to flip on that light. It may be just that brake module, that flips on the light, but it may be an actual body control module, which is another computer that that actually reports in. This is what one of the sensors might look like right on the valve stem, and it actually kind of screws right into this little circuit board, and this little circuit board is pressure sensitive, and it actually either they'll do by a pressure, kind of transducer, or they'll do by a speed type sensor going around like that. So there's different ways they can do it. This is kind of showing you the difference between a standard and one that actually goes into that particular type of monitoring system. Here I have another monitoring system similar to the one you just seen. There are different types out there. So you can actually see how this one actually snaps in to this right here. So it kind of pops into there. This one actually clamps into this one here. And this is a different one. This is a kind of what I've seen on quite a few Fords out there. Well, I shouldn't put it that way. There was some models actually had this in there, and it was a band that went around the rim, the inside of the rim, and that was the monitoring part of it too. So there are different types of sensors. So this one is that band one, and these are going to be right by the valve itself. And you've probably seen this if you have a car that actually has a monitoring system on it, and it'll show you, the actually different wheels and what the air pressure is at each one. So that's going to tell me pretty close to what it is a transducer type system that actually does measure pressure itself too. If you do have one that trips it, you will probably have a TPMS light come on, the pressure sensor, tire pressure monitoring system light come on. And depending on how yours is, it's going to, flash, that it's, low air pressure, or it may even just have almost a medallion, kind of like a little diagonal thing with an asterisk in the center. And please look at your owner's manual to make sure which icon you might have, and that'll give you kind of an insight of what's going on. So there are codes for tires too that actually will tell you if it's lower pressure and stuff like that. So you see this one here says, hey, tire 2, which and this gets important for you that do rotating tires. Sometimes you have to tell the car where the tire is at. Remember, some of them can have 2 different air pressures, and if it sees it off, say I normally have 35 in the back and 32 up front. Now that's 3 different psi difference. And if I swap a tire across from front to rear, I could have a higher air pressure up front and 1 in the back, and it might see it's actually low in the rear. So you can see that imbalance going on. So, and then also some of the sensors can fail too. I have found that a lot of times on some of the newer systems that the tires will, if you fill them up, in the newer systems, I should say, the transistors will pick it up and it'll respond back to the tire monitoring system or to the brake system and say, hey, okay, I'm all cool. You might have to drive it a little bit, and then it clears things out. But some of them, this is kind of old school in a way, but some systems still require that you actually go through a recalibrating setup. So let's say you rotate the tires, you got to tell the vehicle monitoring system where each tire is at. So this is just some models that actually has to happen. And this is again showing you the different types of possible tire warning lights that might be on. It's totally depends on the actual system itself. There's other types of setups to kind of reset the tire lights too. There was actually a magnet that we had to put by the tire stem for reprogramming. Like I said, I've seen more and more move to an automatic type system, but you may have a car come in. If you work at a tire shop, you're going to have all types of brands, and they're going to say, "Hey, my tire light's on. I thought you put new tires on it, and you did, but you didn't. Maybe you didn't have time, or they didn't mention that the tire light was on." So you got to kind of be aware of that, especially when you're writing the ticket. Again, here's one that actually has an ID number on it, and again, you may have to use that ID number to actually tell where that tire is at and that it's been changed. And it's just different ones. Sometimes the scan tool, you can program it on in, and not all scan tools will actually allow you to do that. It has to have the body control module on it. So here's kind of showing you the position of for the relearn part, and we don't really, I shouldn't put it that way. So you're still going to have different ones out there. They're going to have that relearn that you have to do. And so, some of them are automatic, and some of them you actually have to use a scan tool or a device to actually do that with it. Again, you can learn more of this when you get into your tire, classes like your, some of your maintenance classes will, sometimes the maintenance class will teach you about it a little bit, but more so in your suspension steering classes. All right, and going into checking tires, there's different types. There's the old manual gauge types, and there's also digital ones you can buy too. They're a little more accurate. I would shy away from the gas stations where you put air in. Their gauges are usually pretty much abused, whether it be the old mechanical ones or ones with a digital display. I would definitely have my own gauge to actually check to make sure. This is just a special tool that you might have to change that Schrader valve out. And when you're doing tire work, and we're going to get into tire service in just a few minutes here, but this is actually showing you an actual valve stem remover, that center core piece that actually has to come out to let the air out of the tires. You don't want to just sit there and with something that kind of bleed off the air. You want to pull that whole stem out and make sure all the air is out before you take and put on the tire machine. Here's some assortment of different types of stems, for some of the TPMS sensors. You get into real tire replacement and tire shops, they're going to actually have this available because these are used day in and day out when you get into some of the tire, actually shops that you're going to be working in. So hopefully this was helpful, and it's just kind of an overview. Like I said, you're going to be getting deeper into this when you get into your suspension steering classes, which I encourage you to do. A lot of good information. You'll actually be able to work on the tire machines to actually mount and dismount tires and see how it is, and then gives you kind of a good idea and actually practice when you get into the actual shop where you're going to be working in a tire shop. Or some of the regular mechanical shops will do this too. All right. Hopefully this is helpful. Like I said, remember that if you have any questions, please feel to reach out to me. I will help you out as much as I can. Inbox me is the best way to get a hold of me. And if there's some general questions, always remember to go into discussion groups and go into the student lounge, and you can ask questions amongst each other. All right, and I'll be monitoring that as much as I possibly can. I will be talking to you soon. You take care, and until the next video presentation, I'll be talking to you soon.